Ezra made sure there was no bail. I know you're going to scream at me, bail, bail, bail. But up in the bed. A Burke's barbershop makes me dark hair. You see that?
Wow.
Now you're right. He does some trickery.
That's what I've been doing wrong.
You haven't gone to Burke's barbershop.
Very well.
Okay, we're gonna have to take you there. 108 Avenue I, call Burke. I love him.
Attorney's Office of James Meadows, highly ranked traffic lawyer, former criminal lawyer, dedicated to all moving violations throughout New York State. James handles all points-related moving violations in New York City, Long Island, and upstate New York. Speeding, red light, cell phone, stop sign, failure to yield, and improper turns are traffic offenses which Heshy commits every day, with stiff penalties, including huge fines, points, increased insurance rates, suspension of your driver's license, and even being arrested. The law office of James Meadow is your best chance of beating your traffic ticket. 845-842-5387. You can reach James at 845-842-5387. Or I'm going to give out his personal cell phone, which is 917-856-1247. That's 917-856-1247. And my favorite number, 845-TICKETS.
You don't have the problem, Chris. I got it. But when you do, you call my boy James. He's going to take good care of you. He's one of mine. He's one of ours. And he wins everything. He's 5 for 5 with me. I hope that's about it. I got one more to go.
So Traveler's Choice is your only choice for travel.
Beautiful. Okay, are we done?
We have attorney Abraham Hoshander for all your closing and contractual needs. Whether you're a buyer or seller, need help clearing up a title, buying or selling a home, whether commercial or residential, for the best legal assistance any present or future property owner can get, call the law office of Abraham Hoshander today. 347-435-3402. That's 347-435-3402.
You see, Chris, there was a little problem with our sound when we started the show because my producer messes up every show. But the sound is back on, everybody. And we're going to
do our shout-outs.
We're going to do a shout-out.
Mira Nava.
My granddaughter.
Lila Tamar.
Yes.
Dov and Shani Hyken. My one and only beautiful Shoshana. Your buddy Ellie.
And Sergeant
Peters.
Don't we? I told you I had to get a blue elephant for my granddaughter that you
And
helped.
a shout out to Pat.
Pat.
I don't know who Pat is.
I don't know.
He called me today. Very nice gentleman. He called me up. I think he was either on the show once. He said to me, I'm just calling to wish you happy birthday.
Right, you
I
see?
told you, I literally got over 100 phone calls
You are
today.
wonderful, wonderful. By the way, so I just want you to know, Soya, I got the blue elephant. I left it by the door of my granddaughter, and my son opened the door for her, and there was the blue elephant.
The one that I showed you?
Yes, and I even put the name on it, Elephant Tishla, and she calls it Elephant Tishla. Anyways, we're going to start our show. Chris, you have to laugh at the joke, because these two people don't laugh at my jokes.
It's not funny. They're usually not funny.
They are. This week I made special funny, and watch this joke. Are you ready? Just as I arrived home, working a night shift one night, I was working, Linda told me to go check out my little son Avram's bedroom. So I entered the bedroom and I saw that the bed had collapsed and the mattress was sitting on the floor. So I asked my son Avram, what happened? He said, God did it. Now, when you tell me something like that, I'm like, I turned around, I went outside, and I said, Linda, what happened? She started laughing. She says, oh, when I heard it collapse, I ran, and he says, oh, God, what did you do now? See, Christopher got it.
That's quality humor.
That's quality.
Right
I'm going to say a last joke, and I'm done.
Oh, you really try.
I always make
He
fun.
needs you more than you need him. Trust me.
He has a good laugh. I always make fun of Linda in every show, and this is a true story. I'm telling you, it's a true story. Me and Linda, I spend every Saturday night, I take Linda out for pizza night. By the way, today is National Pizza Day.
Where's our pizza?
So where are we going for after?
I'll take you for pizza. That I can afford. Anyways, so Linda always
They
takes.
sell
So my date with Linda is pizza, and we go shopping at the supermarket. It's a 3-hour ride. I'm talking up and down the aisles, and I'm sitting on my cell phone because she makes me miserable. And she asks me questions. Do you want the peas? Do you want the canned pineapples? I don't really care, Linda. Whatever you want. She says, but one day I'm going to make a pineapple chicken. I said, are you crazy? Pineapple chicken? Nobody has pineapple.
Delicious.
Oh, God. Anyways, so Linda and me went to the supermarket, and Linda had to find canned...
Upside down, pineapple chicken.
Whatever. We don't care. We went, and Linda and me had to go find canned peaches. So anyways, we see a guy walking in one of the supermarket attendants, and she says, can you tell me where canned peaches are? He says, I'll see, and he walks away. We're standing there. He never comes back. We see another worker. Do you know where the canned peaches are? And again, he says, I'll see, and he'll come. And he never came back. Anyways, I said, Linda, we got to keep going. We're walking up and down the aisles, and we found the canned peaches. Would you like to know where?
Oh, I know.
I'll see. We're not too. Linda's not too bright. I could have figured that out if I was paying attention. I love.
You want to laugh, but you
You
don't want
do.
to
Look,
encourage
she's
him.
holding herself back.
I'm just laughing at you.
This quote, my dear friend, we're starting the show, but I want to give you the quote. This is for you, Christopher.
All right.
Every man gives his life for what he believes. One life is all we have to live, and we live it accordingly to what we believe. And you, Christopher, what I've known of you over the last few years already, more that I got to meet you, you are a man that believes, who lives life for the truest, honorable man. And I'm so proud to be your friend because I don't find too many men like you. And I'm jealous of you because you are a man. And really, Ezra, this is a guy that if we have to look up to people, not like Carmen Yeager, my councilman, who I hate so much.
I can't deal with
Let's
you.
continue.
We're not even-
Anyways, Christopher, I want to talk to you about something very serious, okay? You've been bitching to us that Florida is great.
Language.
Florida is great. And we're jealous of your freedom. And today I saw your governor saying, look, the rest of you are finally waking up. You know that the science changed. He says the science never changed. It was always correct. Right. New York City, I think we're winning. I think our movement has started. Where I started almost 2 years ago fighting, people have stood up. People are coming back. Now, we're still mentally ill. I don't know why. The numbers are down. We're less than double digits. Hospitals are empty. They're lifting the mandates. They're forcing, by the way, the Democrats are going to take credit for this. You know, oh, we never really needed the masks or whatever. Now, the mandates are becoming to lift. We see that the science was wrong. Why are they...
Well, the science was right.
The science was right.
They were never following the science.
Why are they still... Why isn't it just take the key, turn it off, and say goodbye, it's over?
Because they want power.
No, but it's wrong.
But they
it's
want
wrong.
power. They want
are
to
we
control
sitting
you.
4 grown people here?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They want power.
So, Chris,
and they
that's
want
it.
control.
So we lost, Chris. Really, theoretically,
I
we
want you
lost.
to know another thing. If they stopped all of a sudden and they said, you know, we were in the wrong, or you know,
they
we
don't
were
have
too
to say
tough,
that.
they
They don't
will
have to say
never
it.
say that because they're terrified
But
of
they
the
don't have to.
lawsuits
So,
that are
but
going
they
to
don't have
follow.
to. They
You
don't
can't
have
do
to.
it, Chris.
They have immunity, by the way. Government agents have immunity.
Sadly.
Not if the immunity was wrongfully gained.
Sure.
But Christopher, you
They
keep
cannot be sued.
yeah, but Christopher keeps talking about this totalitarian,
totalitarian
whatever. The point is, even did we win, Christopher, or we never going?
Here's my thought on this. These colossal fools that have denied people their common rights and the sheeple who bent over and took it, I'm glad they're finally standing up and throwing off their shackles. And what I'm experiencing is what I think it's Stockholm Syndrome. Too many people can't believe they let a pack of idiots lock them in their homes, deny them the right to work, and deny their children the right to have a normal life, that they're finding it really, really hard to admit this was all stupid to begin with.
Just one thing, just to clarify, the mandates in the schools, which have been found unconstitutional by a New York State Supreme Court judge, are still in
Of
effect.
course it's still
How
still
is
in
that
effect
possible,
on-
Chris?
And here's what I'm watching, which I'm loving, is the students in Florida already, even when there were still some kind of mandates, they were already just ignoring it. So
I think in Virginia, there's even students who started their own movement.
oh yeah, Seattle, a few
No, but I think in
places.
Virginia, there's actually a grassroots movement where they said, if you're asked to wear a mask, say no.
They know.
And if do it not, and
Do
if
it
they ask you to
nicely
leave the
and
school,
if
go
you
home.
want. Right.
But they're just starting to say no. And Virginia is, I mean, they have a new governor, but there's still a lot of school districts that are not going to change.
But Chris, now all this totalitarian, whatever you want to say the word properly.
Totalitarian.
Now we understand the government pushes us around,
just works.
but you and I have grown up with freedom. We know that our brothers and sisters in this great country have to be free. We have fought for freedom for other countries.
Right.
We send our Olympians to China,
Crazy.
and you're not my senator. Your senator gets up on television, Pelosi. You got to listen and behave and get. I mean, you're
Madness.
telling me that I have to now give up my freedom?
It's madness.
Well, she's doing it because she has a lot of money invested in Chinese products.
Yeah. It's
And Chinese companies.
an absolute nightmare. The fact that, you know, So many things, but if I had one thing to pick, I would love a constitutional convention and start a mandatory retirement age in the federal government.
Well, actually,
The
there was
very
a
fact that Yellen, Pelosi, Biden, any of these clowns are still there destroying us.
Also,
Well
lifetime.
past their sell-by date.
Also,
Give it a
lifetime.
nightmare.
Also, lifetime for Supreme Court judges. I don't agree with that. Should be 75, 80. Goodbye. Have a good life.
Well, the Constitution gave them life tenure.
Right.
But actually, there is a movement now within Congress itself for a constitutional amendment limiting the House of Representative terms to 6 2-year terms for term limits and 2 6-year terms for senators.
Wow, good.
And that is going to be introduced now.
But they're never gonna
at the
agree to
beginning of the
it.
year. And it's never going to be. There's actually, for the most part, there are enough Republicans who've been doing that on their own, which is why we lost some very good and powerful representatives in the Republican Party, such as Trey Gowdy, Jason Chaffetz, and the others. They did it on their own. There's especially with the Tea Partyists, they believe in term limits and they're self-imposing, which is the opposite of what the swamp rats have been doing.
Just like AOC. I mean,
AOC is going to be there until she's 90.
But
Unfortunately,
here's my problem with AOC. You know that Amazon came to Brooklyn, to Queens, and we could have created. Forget that we could have created 25,000 jobs, 100,000 overlapping jobs, construction in the billions of dollars, and every neighborhood would have got it. She stopped it, Queens. Today,
I don't even understand how she had the power to
wait a
stop
minute,
it to
and then
begin with.
today-
Somebody like her.
Today, a councilman went with Amazon to introduce the people to Amazon to create 2,800 new jobs in the Bronx.
Right.
She's a genius. She screwed the rest of us so the Bronx and her community could get it. Why isn't she screaming now and hollering?
I'm gonna give. Wow, well that's fun. There's absolutely no way on earth that she's remotely smart enough to have engineered that. This thing in the Bronx just fell in her lap. She
No,
engineered
it's not
none of it.
her.
Remember,
It's not her.
She auditioned for a job that this cynical leftist that supported Bernie Sanders and made a ton of money out in California. I think Chakrabarty is his name. He created this entire phenomenon.
Right.
She could easily have been
and he was her
Sally.
and he became her chief of staff.
and he got overpaid too much money.
and then he left, and that's when.
Yes.
And she's been quiet since then.
Nothing she's said since then has made any
Right.
sense.
Or even before that.
Well, before then, at least it was in keeping
Scripted.
with
It was scripted.
Your typical leftist progressive nonsense, right? Sounded great. She on her own makes it look like a genius.
I want to interrupt. I want to make fun of my mayor. Now, I want you to know something. I know that I'm a guy from Brooklyn and I eat a lot, and sometimes I like to snack on crackers. So I want you.
That was a good joke. Finally, finally.
I want you to hear this. I want you to hear and see this video.
Well done.
Police department. I kicked those crackers' ass, man. I was unbelievable.
Now, did he mean that he took this box of
You know who
crackers
that
and
is?
that's-
Samuel L. Jackson.
What?
No,
Oh, that's our mayor. And my
With
question
that
is,
craziness.
why didn't we hear about this until a month after he got elected, as opposed to 9 to 10 months before the election?
Surely you can't be implying that someone wanted to hide that.
Oh, heavens forbid!
No.
Heaven
Full
forbid!
disclosure is what the
Heaven
political
forbid.
And
process is
now,
all
and
about.
now he's pushing not vegetarian, vegan. He's a vegan. You understand? He made a press conference. He wasted our time to make a press conference that he's going to try to get everybody
Vegan Fridays.
right, and vegans to be people to be vegans, restaurants to be vegans.
No,
Leave me
vegan
alone,
Fridays in the
man.
public schools.
Yeah,
And
he's
how,
just-
how do you feel being referred to as a cracker?
I thought that meant
You
delicious.
don't. You look more like an Oreo to me.
Right. Did she just make fun of me? I lost 15. I want you to know I lost 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks. And when I become skinny, which will never happen, but if I
Me
become
and you both.
right, when I become skinny, you're gonna eat your heart out, sweetheart. Okay?
She'll be
Because
eating crackers?
I'm gonna be. I don't call me cracker. Now, here is a question. Yeah.
For those who are unfamiliar with the concept of veganism, you have to go to one Simpsons episode where this hippy dippy shows up and Lisa falls in love with him, and she says, "I'm a vegetarian." And he's in jail for something. He goes, "Psh, I'm a level 4 vegan.
Wow.
I don't eat anything that casts a shadow."
This is a question directly for you.
Okay.
Last year, me and Ezra were able to drive all over for $2 a gallon of gas.
That's true.
Now Soya doesn't come to the show because she can't afford the $4 a gallon of gas and complains to me, Heshy, I got to put on my walking shoes because I'm not driving my car. You better explain to me that I understand that all the gas in New York City or United States dried up, so we had to double the price. I understand. Supply and demand. Is that possible?
Well, if you are an ideologically driven lunatic like Joe Biden, you can come into office and on day one declare that girls named Bob can swim against other girls, because that's really crucial in day one in office. And you also are going to cancel a pipeline coming down from the oil sands of Canada. In addition, there's a whole lot of messing around one can do with oil rights for drilling and exploration in this country. Very basically, bureaucrats can slow roll applications, right? There's a whole lot of things a bureaucracy can do. So for those people who are busy drilling and fracking for gas and oil in this country, when Trump left office, we were a net exporter. We were sending oil and gas overseas, and we had it flowing out of the pipes, and gas at the pump was cheap. They reversed that instantly under the Biden administration.
Why?
Well, I think one of the first key points is that anything Orange Man bad did was by definition awful. I'm convinced if Trump had put it in a place of giving bunnies to orphans, the Biden administration would have declared that salmonella was jumping
Don't
from
forget,
bunnies to kids.
Well, if Trump found the cure to cancer, they'd say you put doctors out of business.
Exactly. So the artificial constraint on production in this country did an enormous amount. Right, there was no reason this had to happen. It was purely a policy choice.
But you're ripping me off now. You're ripping me off.
Horribly, yeah. My favorite sticker, I began to see them. Whoever printed them, at first, I want to give you an award. I began to see little stickers that people put on gas pumps. It was Joe Biden pointing to the price, and it said, I did that. Genius. I catch them in the wild everywhere. I take pictures of them. I love them. It's nonsensical.
So we're lost. There's no chance of this gas is ever coming down again.
No, not with these idiots in charge.
So you're charging me an extra $60 a week. Times that, I just don't even want to tell you, it's another $240 a month. $3,000 a year you're stealing from me because you don't have a reason?
No reason whatsoever.
No, but they're gonna give you a COVID relief package.
Well, no, there's a very simple reason.
That's a cynical.
That's
what they do.
Follow me here. It's important to understand how guilty and awful we all are. It was discovered in the 1960s that industrial society, by spewing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, was causing global freezing, and we were all going to freeze to death. That didn't happen. Someone else came up with a much better idea. It was global warming. Now, global warming wasn't nearly as terrifying as global freezing, right? So they had to sell how bad that was. Then, tragically, even their own statisticians at the UN and other places hollering about this for Al Gore while he lived in his massive 90,000 square foot mansion, eating up more fuel than most people ever use in their lives. But it's okay, he had carbon offsets. But when that wasn't really working out, they settled on climate change. And remember, it has to be in all caps because climate always changes. And it's not that terrifying. So they've got this new religion, which is based on the old religion, but it's all about the solution. Just remember, for any one of these ills is more taxes and higher costs for you.
And more restrictions on your freedom of choice.
Of course, freedom of choice. Comrade, have you not read the latest book?
So part two for this question.
I stopped reading these days. I'm sorry to say.
So,
Sanity.
Chris, part two. Will Trump come back, and does he have a chance? And if he does, can he reverse all this suffering that we're going through?
I think a drunken gerbil could reverse all of this just by randomly guessing. If you just randomly make choices, 50% of the time you'll be kind of right. The genius of the Biden administration is everything they do is wrong, which is kind of startling. It takes a kind of genius to do that.
But we knew
As
that.
for Trump, God, I hope he doesn't run again. Enough.
Why not?
Because he's a boomer. We're done with this. Enough.
Yeah,
We got
but the
plenty
thing-
of people who can do this job far better.
So basically, we know what you want.
He wants
DeSantos.
DeSantis.
No,
Look, we know what
he's got to
DeSantis-
stay in Florida.
No, we're
No,
taking
he's
him.
not going anywhere.
Well, I disagree with you. I think
He's
he's
not.
right.
His wife, unfortunately, is
I know
very
she's
sick.
sick, but
They got
she's gonna get
small
better.
children. He's not going to put her through that or the children through that.
Maybe.
I really don't think
What's
so.
Christy Nome?
I'm not in the prediction game. Again, as I said, a stoned rabid gerbil could do a better job.
I personally, I don't know if Trump should run again or not. I don't know if we could deal with another 4 years of impeachment proceedings. But the thing is, but that being said, I think if he did run, he'd win, and in day one, he'd reverse all of the reversals of Biden that did.
But
on
the next Republican president can reverse.
But the
them
question
all.
is if they would. The question, you see, one thing. Look. I was very skeptical when Trump ran the first time around. But the one thing is, you need an outsider to create to scare people up. And honestly, if we have a Washington insider, Republicans by nature go for slow change. That's the nature of a conservative. It's slow change.
Well, that's why the country is in the place it's in.
So
and I
the
think
thing
we have
is,
a
if you have
chance
another
to
swamp rat,
reverse all that.
if you have another swamp rat, they'll do a lot of talking, but they're not going to do a lot of changing. And this country needs to become energy independent again.
See, that's what I was trying to say when I ran for office. Guys, you picked your councilmen that are back in there. They're voting to keep the outdoor cafes. Now, I have a problem with the outdoor cafes, even though you're from Florida and you like that stuff, Christopher. We have a problem that we can't park.
Right, it's nuts.
You have not wanted to, and then they're ticketing the restaurants. Now Ezra likes it.
I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I've never sat in an outdoor eatery.
The point is, I don't want to sit in the cold and eat. And I have
No,
done
but I
that.
think what it is you have for the restaurants right now, as a small bit, there are small businesses who really took the brunt of the first year of all these closings, so they're finally making money. And this way, honestly, now that they have the option of indoor eating, you have outdoor eating for people who are brainwashed that you can't go anywhere without
Here's my
wearing a mask.
biggest question. If
So
you're
who
that
cares?
concerned by all this nonsense, why are you going out to eat?
Well, no, people still want to go out to
Right,
eat.
but they want to do
This is a
everything.
beautiful thing about about trust fund liberal. Okay, this is a beautiful thing about trust liberal. They don't know how to do anything for themselves, and they just want to protest. So this way, they could protest your right to do whatever you want, and they could still be catered to. They're just going to do it outdoors with heaters.
But that's the problem. I go to some of these.
It's a Trustafarian theme. I got it. All right, I got it.
But Christopher, I go to some of these outdoor enclosures, and I was just at one that I helped get approved. Beautiful. It was nicer than sitting inside. I actually said heating, electric, comfortable, spacious tables because it's outdoors. A pleasure. And the fire department comes and approves it. And this is not right. Not because they take up the parking spots and spaces. You're making everything look ugly. Go into the restaurant, enjoy indoors. That's why you're going to the restaurant. Or go to a place that has an open roof or a backyard. But sitting on the street, eating over there, I don't want it. And plus, I have a question for you.
But why do they keep doing this?
Well,
The rules are gone. Why?
No,
what's the
it's
point?
actually the city council took it up. I think they are very strongly considering closing these things. Except that
No,
there's a money
they're-
maker.
it's
There's
a
a money
money
maker
because
for
now-
the city.
now they're
and the
going
city
to-
needs money. Let's be
Right,
honest
now
about
we're
it.
going to charge you a permit to
As
keep these and a license to have
As
it
far
open.
as parking, these liberals don't want us driving anyway.
Well, it's
I
not.
think it'd be a lot of fun for everybody because this would be the performance art part of it. We go back to the old coin-operated meters, and the manager has to come out every 45 minutes.
Feed the meter.
and feed the meter.
I don't even get the meter idea. The whole idea of the
and make
meter.
them a maximum of 14 minutes to drive him out of his mind. It's like, but I'm paying for the extra minutes. Sorry.
But the whole idea of the meter was to make you move along and to give you a ticket and most likely to make money. Today,
It's
not
all about
only-
money.
Yeah, but today you don't even have to go feed the meter. You can take your telephone and recharge your meter.
It's again all about making money for the city.
Now,
It's about and honestly, right now the city needs money because our former mayor did everything in his power to get rid of anyone who had money.
He did a phenomenal job.
He did, and I'm telling you, Adams is not any better.
No.
He's
I
not any
wouldn't- I
better,
wouldn't expect he's gonna be.
the flight from New York will be continuing.
Chris, you and I have problems in America. You're at Florida. You're lucky. We have New York. We're fighting in different states. We're trying to help our brothers and sisters all over. Tell us about the Canada truck blockade. Do we care? I mean, they don't want to fight back, or are they finally fighting back?
What I love is that having spent a lot of time amongst them, meaning the left, and I've gotten to know them, they inhabit what I call a theoretical world. They don't actually like the working class in any way, shape, or form when they encounter them. And they get very angry at them. In fact, they mock them. But the truckers have basically said, throughout this entire insanity, we were essential workers, right? Which meant that I am scared sitting at home, and I'm fortunate enough to have a job that pays me without having to lift anything, and I can do it through Zoom. But I need someone to deliver my food to me, right? So those people are essential workers. As the crisis began to abate, but they really loved that feeling of power. They loved telling everyone what to do. Well, now we got another thing. You were an essential worker, whether you were a doctor or a nurse or a delivery driver or a truck driver. And now we're going to mandate that you get this vaccine, rather than just extolling the virtues of the vaccine and everyone getting it. As I tell people, I'm vaccinated, but I self-identify as unvaccinated.
Me too.
So the truckers basically said, enough of this nonsense. Like, what possible harm am I doing, right? Sitting alone in my truck, literally driving around. And Trudeau, who spent all of his early years smoking pot and wearing blackface, is just this feckless leader who's beyond useless. I mean, I deal with a lot of Canadians.
He's never getting elected again.
Oh, boy, he might get elected sweepingly. De Blasio was reelected. He was a disaster. So they decided to finally protest this. They decided, like, this is enough. This is nonsense. We're calling for rationality, and they've been protesting this. The Canadian government has sent the police to take away their gasoline so they can't heat their trucks. Some of them, they're with their families, right? Children protesting this in Ottawa. Trudeau went...
Actually, I saw they arrested an octogenarian or nonagenarian
I'm sure.
for just honking in support.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
yeah.
this guy was in his pajamas.
Aren't the police stupid?
Yeah. All you have to
You
watch...
have to say Canada's not America. Canada does not have a
but we
First
have the
Amendment
same-
right.
They don't have a Second Amendment.
You don't have a First Amendment right in America. You know, Canada. Second Amendment's a little. You have to have the first to get the second. So you know.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, but true also. But the bottom line is, Canada does not have any free speech rights. So you have to, you know, we had a guest a couple of weeks ago.
Wait a moment, Canada doesn't have any free speech rights?
No, you don't have free speech rights in Canada.
Not in the same way.
I can't believe
So, well...
And we're headed the same way, and we are headed the same way.
They're
Don't kid yourself.
trying. They're trying hard.
The left-wing media is locking.
The Biden
is locking
administration
step
just put out
with
another
no
statement
first-
today referring to anyone that will, again, their lovely word misinformation, which I love.
Yes.
We already had a really good word for things that weren't true. That's called a lie.
Lie, that's
we already
mis-
had that word.
yeah.
It's still there. It's a good word, right?
But misinformation
Yeah,
is
but
truth that we don't
misinformation
want you
is
to
a
know.
great word,
No,
right?
Misinformation is truth we don't want you to know.
Oh, but it can mean anything, but that's a good definition. It's a great definition. So they actually put out a statement saying that, you know, basically the FBI will be looking into anyone that spreads misinformation which might undermine people's faith in the government.
You mean the First Amendment?
Wow, yeah, gone. That's they basically go look it up. They put that out today.
In law school, we refer to the Fourth Amendment as an incredible shrinking amendment. At least that's what my law professors used to do. That's becoming the first.
But now...
So if I speak into this microphone and I say, don't have faith in the government,
Yes,
and they're
you are
going to screw
undermining
you
the
over,
faith of the government. That's a potentially terroristic
that's all I'm
activity.
doing is just undermining
you're
them.
a
I would
you are a
do more
domestic threat.
than
You should
undermine
support
them.
this
You are a
government.
domestic
No, I
threat.
don't support
You
this
are a
government.
domestic threat.
So the greatest definition I've ever heard of a patriot is someone who loves his or her country always and the government sometimes.
I love I love this country. I do not love the government.
So
I think they're a bunch of thieves
So
and crooks.
I want to tell you something.
What do you really think, Soya?
So Christopher...
No need to soft soap it here.
So, Christopher, I am an Orthodox Jew, and my father was in the Holocaust, and the Nazis and a lot of the German people came afterwards, and they said, listen, the reason we couldn't do anything because we had to follow orders.
Right.
And what we did was we explained to them, you don't follow stupid orders. You don't follow orders to hurt other people. Now, I thought we learned this. Today, we have police officers that are following orders. We have 10 police officers going into a restaurant and arresting people who are not vaxxed to buy a hamburger. Now, it's not, and I researched this, Mr. Lawyer. I did a lot of research. Now,
I'm proud of you.
if your door is open to the restaurant, that means it's open to the public.
Correct.
You are inviting me in.
That's for all
That means I am not trespassing. You don't want to serve me. That is still not trespassing. Now I'm there. Because you have a vax law and so on, you cannot call the police to arrest
No,
me.
that's not. You're not.
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish. You're
Your
not paying-
license was rescinded when I asked you to leave my store, and since there
You
is
can't do that.
Since there is a government mandate that I am required to follow, okay, it's the same thing as if you wanted to come in and not pay taxes. on the merchandise. I am going to ask
so
you to
the
link the
cops,
establishment.
but the cops know whatever it is. The cops know it's stupid.
Of
The
course
cops
they do. Of
come.
course they do.
We have 8 cops shot. And I'm going to read this to you. What just happened over this last week? Drive-by shooting. Okay, a drive-by shooting. A man found shot in front of his house. 3 murders this week alone.
Why not for this week? Just go last night.
Right, last night. And here's the best part. We have foster parents that are sex trafficking young girls. Now, instead of watching, and we know this happens, it's not even a question.
Do all those parents work for
In
CNN?
big numbers.
If you get into a car accident, the police don't even show up. If you're robbed, you call the police to come investigate. You're talking 2-3 hours. But if you're trespassing for a hamburger in a restaurant, boom, they're there in 10 minutes to arrest you and take you to jail. Somebody has to explain to these officers, bad laws are not allowed. You can't give me the answer that it's time to follow. And I promise you, my dear followers, I will be elected. I will punish all those police officers. I'm going to try to look over thousands of reports. I'm going to take your complaints, document them, write down those police officers' names. I will come after them. I'll go after their mortgages. I'll call their bankers. I'll go after their children's schools. I'm going to punish their families like they're punishing the rest
He's
of
going
ours.
to untrain their dogs.
They have qualified immunity, my friend.
Makes no difference. Listen to me. I'm not telling you I'm suing them. I'm going after them personally. I'm going to find out who their bank was. If any of them are in foreclosure, I'm going to get enough people to buy their note and give them such a hard time, they're going to sit in court. I'm going to make sure that they get no benefits. I'm going to find a way to personally do it our way. And I'm going to go after them, but I'm going to find a way, but I need the power to get in there. And yes, I'm the guy. I'm the outsider. I love my police. I support my
can I make a
police.
suggestion?
I support my sanitation.
Can I make a suggestion, Heshy?
What?
All right. Let's just.
I'm not gonna. I'm tired.
No, yeah,
I'm
we're all
tired of
tired.
them.
We're
I'm
all
tired.
tired. We're
I'm
all
tired
tired.
of going to a restaurant with Christopher.
Let's be
Wait a minute. Let me
practical.
finish.
The reason they're doing it is very simple. Okay, if I can make an arrest, if you're a police officer, now you have a choice. You could get your collar, which is, by the way, how you make detective in New York State, in the New York Police Department, is the number of arrests you get credit for. Okay, that's the easiest way to make a detective. So now, if I could get my collar and exert zero energy and zero effort to
Take
do
no
so,
risk.
and the guy at most is going to squeeze some ketchup at me in protest. Okay, am I going to do that? Or am I going to go after the guy who might be off?
That's not right.
But who cares? But you have to be practical. They're getting their orders. They have to make they're going to make their numbers. They're looking to make detective. They're looking to make the.
But again, I'm
they're looking
repeating
to
to
put
you,
in 20 years and get out.
You're not allowed to do that. Now, you know how many
Okay,
times...
I agree with you morally.
It doesn't mean that you
Actually, I
agree with me
you
morally. How come
I'm talking to be practical.
But Ezra, how come I'm different? How come I believe
Well,
in not
you're very
hurting my
different.
knees?
I don't know why you're not different.
Well,
Actually, here,
it's not
let me
different.
jump in.
Christopher's
I'm gonna
different.
I'm going to help you
Soya's
here.
different, and you're different.
Yes.
I'm going to help you here. A lot of people fully agree, and they've grown up with a sense of what is the right thing to do, how things should work. And I think part of the biggest move that the political class made, both left and right, to insulate themselves from criticism was to make everything so incredibly convoluted and confusing that even when someone feels that there's something wrong and they want to fix it, they don't even know what thread to begin pulling on. Right? There's a reason that the adjective Byzantine exists. The whole point of convoluted, complex government is not to get things done. It is to perpetuate the ruling class. And they love it that way, and they're not going to change it. And when it comes down to things like, the idiocy of how you structure this, I mean, I make all of my junior employees read on the folly of hoping for A while rewarding B, right? It's all about incentives. If you set up the structure correctly and say, yeah, it's number of arrests are one of the things that go into determining you're advancing.
In New York City,
okay,
it's the thing.
whatever it is, the thing, right? You could, a rational city council could say, we're going to weight that. Right? If you arrest an old 78-year-old who defends himself with a ketchup packet, that counts 0.1. If you arrest a violent drug offender high on meth swinging a machete at you, that's 6. Right? So that's 6 arrests versus 0.1 arrests.
Never will happen.
Never happen.
Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons it'll never happen is Pat Lynch.
Right.
I mean, Lynch is a great look.
Lynch is a great guy.
Lynch is. I will tell you. Look, I've had a lot of runs with Lynch in courtrooms, or at least had to listen to him at his press conferences after my clients did what they did. One thing I have a lot of respect for Lynch is that he mobilizes his union members. His rank and file will do whatever he says.
Sure.
And now there's no way he's gonna change the rules on how his rank and file are going to get promoted.
Oh, of course not. I'm just
So
giving
I'm
a
just
silly
letting you know.
example.
So,
Obviously, that's not going to change.
Yeah, so and also we're talking about right now. We're talking about a city council is trying to defund the police. The last thing they want to do is help them in their career advancement. So they're not going to do anything to make their job any better.
Right.
Again, a police officer is a man of honor, and he's allowed to tell his boss it's wrong, and I don't want to do it. And I did it many times.
You live in a fantasy world.
Well, I know that
You
I
live
make
in a
it.
fantasy world. I'm sorry to tell you that. A police officer has no right to tell his commanding officer that he's not going to do
Sure,
his
you
job.
can take them to court. You can say, you can go to.
That's the end of his career.
Okay,
or her
you know
career.
what? You want to spend if somebody wants to be successful, ripping and robbing and hurting and cheating. Wait a minute.
Again, morally, you're right. Okay. Morally, you're right.
I know
but
that I can't stand.
We're very practical.
So I don't even know how these guys go and think they're gonna. Now here's a question for you.
Sure.
Mass mandates, vaccines. We're all dying. You know. Next week is the Super Bowl, right?
I heard, yeah.
How many people do you think are going to be there?
I'm so out of touch. I thought the previous Sunday was the Super Bowl, and I went shopping and bought chips and was smoking fish and everything.
I also thought that. But next week is the Super Bowl.
Yes.
There's going to be, 60, 70,000, 100,000 people there.
100,000 people, probably.
Do you actually believe they're going to vaccine mandate and check people? And all that?
California, everybody but the governor and the mayors.
There's no-
Where's the game happening? It's happening in Los Angeles. Right.
And everybody but Newsom and his mayors are going to be wearing masks and they're going to be vaccinated.
It's
It's
insanity.
not possible. It's not. I'm telling you.
I agree with you. It's not possible,
I'm
but that's
gonna
what they're
watch-
approaching.
okay.
I don't.
So
I-
these idiots actually want people to sit outside
Wearing masks.
and wear a mask.
Yes, because they're going to be in close proximity of fun.
Yawn. Yeah, you can't have that. Can't have that. We have developed the vaccine for fun. It's called the Democrats, but that's ridiculous. I remember, and the problem is I've got a memory, right? When the blessed Saint Fauci first said that we should wear a mask, right?
We should wear a mask.
Remember the first time after determining we shouldn't, but when he had the new revelation, and he came down from the mountain to tell us, he said, if you have to be inside.
Was it the first time or the second time when he told us to double the mask?
No, this is the first revelation. The second revelation comes out. That's a different one from a different source. So you have to, if you're going to be inside in an enclosed space for more than 15 minutes
Within 6
in
feet of
close proximity to someone, then you might want to wear a mask. How that turned into people walking through airports with 50-foot ceilings, passing each other briskly, wearing masks is a testament to human stupidity.
I will tell you something.
What about the people that are driving in their car?
I love my favorite are the idiots driving alone in their car.
I'm looking at
I'm
them.
assuming they're all Uber drivers.
Fabulous.
But the thing
No,
is,
they're not. They're alone.
My pet
You
peeve-
hope they're Uber drivers. They're
Something.
not. They're idiots.
But my pet peeve, I still laugh when I see people walking on the streets wearing masks.
Oh yeah.
Because the only thing you're doing is inhaling your carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you're doing is inhaling carbon
If I
monoxide.
walk out of a place and it's really cold outside and I have to wear my mask
still
in
wouldn't.
there, no.
I think I take it off as soon
If
as I
it's
walk in.
really windy, sometimes I'll keep it on,
really?
but under my nose.
I take it off as
Just because it adds warmth to the face.
I had to go to court today, so you have to wear them in the courthouse. I don't even wait until I get to the courtroom.
That's
door before it's
madness.
out.
I had a friend of my partner just came home from Israel. He says nobody wore masks there, even though they're giving 19 booster shots there, or they're up to their fourth.
Right.
He gets on the plane, he comes home, he's going through, the customs thing. Nobody's wearing a mask already coming off customs because you don't really care anymore. Throw me out of the
Yeah,
airport.
throw me out of the airport faster. Go right ahead.
And you don't have to pay customs.
Come out of here.
And
We
he
have
get-
12 minutes. Are we taking any calls?
We are. He gets pulled, take a call.
718-289-0070. That's 718-289-0070.
So he gets pulled over, Christopher,
Yep.
and they say, okay, open your suitcases. They take the suitcase, they start looking at it. He says, no, I want you to look at it in front of me. He says, oh, it's over here. He says, no, you're 20 feet away. Oh, it's my stuff. You're going to check it. The guy finds two cartons of cigarettes, 2 bottles of wine. He says, no, you're only allowed 1 carton of cigarettes, 1 bottle. I have to charge you a tax.
Right.
He says, but I got it in duty free. Duty free means it's duty free.
Right.
He says, no, it's duty free there, but not duty free here. so
That's some innovation.
this
America.
Now this guy
I'll
said,
teach them.
this guy says it's the law. You can could only do. He says, "Where's the law? I don't see it on your card." He says, "Google the law." He says, "Do you want me to Google the law?" He Googles the law. He says, "It's in a book." He says, "You want me to read through a big book to see how many packs of cigarettes I'm allowed to bring in?"
Yes.
Now, the guy wasn't worried about a mask. He was worried about getting $10 for the duty-free cigarettes, $10 for the duty-free wine.
Look, he's looking out for the American taxpayer.
Right.
We support those airports.
That's when you don't need the mask. And this is my point to you, the hypocrisy, and we, the people. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. We, the people, we're smart, we're intelligent. We've got to vote somebody else in. Now, I know you guys don't think Trump should be there, but I don't know who else is qualified enough to go back and cause trouble.
I personally think there are a lot of Republican.
Yeah, Ted Cruz,
candidates.
I like him.
Ted Cruz is not. I like Ted Cruz, but Ted Cruz is never going to get. He's never going to get enough support to actually win.
Really?
He has too many enemies. And he belongs to the Supreme Court.
And the major problem with Ted, God save him, is that he's just a little too smart.
Right, he's too smart for his own good. I personally do think that I know Governor DeSantis' wife is going through a health crisis, but I think hopefully within 2 years she'll be okay. And he I think he'll make a serious VP run, either with Trump or with Noam.
He'd rather be president of Florida when we secede.
He is. I mean, there's no secession. But Christie Noam's out there.
Hold on, FBI.
The entire United States is moving there.
You're dead meat, Christopher.
The peninsula's going to sink.
You also
No,
have some
the
good
ground
candidates.
is going to be so heavy with all the
spongy.
people leaving New
It's
York
spongy.
and everywhere else.
Wow.
You also have some wild cards. I mean, Tim Scott would be an excellent candidate, especially now that the Republican Party has made a lot of inroads with the minority communities. But I honestly think Trump will run because of his ego, and at this point, he will win. I mean, there's not he controls the Republican Party right now.
Now we're coming to the end of the show, so I want to bring up your favorite topic, Governor X.
Ice cream.
Okay, that's true. It's one of mine. X. By the way, what flavor do you like?
Oh, vanilla bean.
I love you. That's the right way to go. Okay, ex-Governor Cuomo.
Yeah.
First of all, the ethics committee. People are screaming that the ethics committee, the law bans public officials from accepting gifts. They want to make sure that that the lobbyists and companies that did do some things with him, they wanted to look into him.
Right.
Now, I was watching TV the other day, and I hear a bunch of women are trying to defend Cuomo that he didn't do anything wrong. What's
By the way,
wrong
Cuomo's running. Cuomo is actually exploring running for Attorney General again.
He's my hero.
He's actually thinking about running for New York Attorney General. And
For
this is,
He wants that
moral
12
citizen.
but
million.
this is the reason.
What is it, 12 million?
No, but you have to understand.
That's right, I want my book advance back.
And this is the same stupidity because that De Blasio is actually maybe running for Congress.
he dropped out of governor because he knows he has
But
no
the thing is,
chance.
it's very simple. They have to run for something in order to
keep
their
the money.
They
You have to run
they don't
for
have
something.
To win. They don't have to win.
Yep.
They just have to have. They have to actually run.
You can't resign.
No, so you have to try and run.
and you can't be arrested.
No, you could resign. You could be arrested as long as you're not impeached.
Exactly.
Or convicted
Right.
while you're in office. So he could. And De Blasio is going to run. And
Same
honestly,
thing.
He was going to run for
If
president.
they were smart, they would
But
each
this is-
pick something ridiculous,
But
like
this is
dog
ridiculous.
catcher of
No,
Utica.
but-
Run for that, win, resign.
No, because that would require actually De Blasio making residency in Utica. So he's going to stay in Park Slope. He's going to run against Max Rose. As much as I hate Max Rose is going to beat him in the primary.
Right.
Okay, so he'll be able to keep his money. Cuomo's going to run against Letitia James. As much as I think Letitia James is a self-pander, is a self-promoter who's done nothing to help the state as the Attorney General. Right. She's going to beat him in the primary. He's going to make it personal. At least we'll get some good sound bites because they hate each other right now.
That will be fun.
And then he's going to keep his money. And
I
maybe
think we should just switch from elections and arguments and political positions to boxing. Right? I mean, how much fun would that be?
How about just that sport?
I would love to see these politicians getting bet.
Fantastic.
I would even extend the rounds instead of 15 rounds.
go.
We could go a few more rounds if they
There's
keep getting
no
up.
rounds. There's no time. It's just when someone can't move.
Well, at this point, we do have despots, and we're headed towards that because but that's the thing. I honestly, it should be that you cannot run for a lower office than what you've had. Once you're the chief executive of the state of New York, You can't run for anything.
Saying president can't run for governor. President can't be a
should be.
senator.
He could, but it's never happened before.
Has who was
They've
it?
done this before. They've switched
Roosevelt
back
wasn't
and forth.
Roosevelt
Yeah.
from president to senator.
Actually, yeah. Look, we've also had Taft went from being the president of the United States to being the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Right.
But that hardly happens
Pop quiz. Where did he do more damage?
in the Supreme Court.
There you go.
I want to just tell everybody there's a big rally by a good Republican guy. His name is Mark Siskansky, whatever, a very tough guy.
Great guy. Name doesn't matter. Go to the rally.
No,
His
no.
name is Bzura.
It's not that. There's a rally to defeat the mandates in Brooklyn this Sunday, February 13th at 12 p.m. on the corner of
Super Bowl
Ocean
Sunday?
Parkway and Avenue
Bring a truck
W.
and a Canadian
That's right.
flag.
Remember the Super Bowl Sunday.
Nice.
At 12
Big
o'clock,
turnout there.
whatever. I think
Come
Super Bowl.
on,
Doesn't
come-
the Super Bowl start at
It's
night?
a whole day.
No, it's a day of your stupid
But that
party.
might
I
be
don't
very
watch the game
smart
anymore.
because you get some pretty riled up and
Yeah.
passionate people already, 6 beers into the case. They
Avenue
wanna
W,
talk about it.
Avenue W and
It's 24. It's not even deep in.
Exactly. Just getting
But
started.
You are a father,
I am. Blessed to be.
a son, a cousin, a husband. I want to know when you sit your son down in a couple of years or 5 years or 10 years or your grandchild, I want to know how you're going to explain the last 2 years. I mean,
I'm going to explain it to the
My
way I
pe- my
explained it to
neighbors
my
were
children as it was happening. So I spoke to the school officials, spoke to elected officials, said, all you are teaching my children is that most adults are complete idiots.
and so what's going to happen is our children are going to be crazy too.
And they're all crazy, but it came up a few times, and my son at the time, because he was 12, and so we spent a lot of time at the range, and
What range? Explain what range?
Target practice.
Target practice. But
12
back and
years
forth,
old. I
he's
love it.
asking me about all this ridiculousness, and he didn't put it that way, but lots of questions. And I said, I just want you to think about something. I said, okay, think about all the people in your class. I said, okay. And you thinking about them? How many of them are idiots? Most. They just get older.
They become elected
That
They
is
just get
terrible.
older.
They become elected officials.
That's it. Exactly.
Wow, I love you. Wow.
And I'm a fan of people. I actually believe with Winston Churchill.
And
that
then the next
democracy
lesson
is a
was love
horrible
thy
form of
neighbor.
government. But it's the best we've got.
The next lesson for your son was love thy neighbor.
Yeah, well, our neighbors are very nice.
You don't see them.
And you know what bothers me the most? In
That's
New
why he's
York-
doing target practice.
But what bothers me the most in New York State, we have a bunch of other cities besides New York City.
So I hear.
Yeah, so many. And where does this Hochul loser hang out? New York City. Mandates New York City. New York City schools. The other states have the same issues. Why is she hanging out always over here? She just...
creeps me out. Can I tell you? I mean, she just weirds me out. Listening to her is really strange. When she told that church that God created the vaccines, wow.
Who is this?
Hochul, you're a lunatic
Hochul?
governor.
I saw her. She's like barely. What is she, like 5 feet tall?
Our unelected governor.
You betcha.
Our unelected governor.
Whenever someone tells me they want to get rid of Biden, I say I'd like you to look at the governorship in New York and see how that worked out.
But
Not
that's
good.
true also.
And I thought she'd be good. I just
why?
want you to...
There's a why.
Sheer hope.
I
Why?
If it wasn't for Cuomo, she would have never become governor. Never in a
Yeah,
million
'cause, yeah,
years.
they
She
just,
couldn't.
they just needed another...
New York State does not elect its lieutenant governor as governor.
But and
we like our
Biden,
AGs, we
and
elect our
Biden is
former
going
mayors.
to
That's
choose.
about it.
And who's Biden going to choose for the Supreme Court next? A black woman, which I have no problem. But there's so many people more
It's not
qualified.
whether or not they're more qualified. It's
No,
not whether or not they're
it's
more
irrelevant.
qualified. The problem is when any president or when Adams was going through his administration, when you say the only people I'm going to consider are based on characteristics that they were born with, or maybe when it comes to LGBTQ that they created for themselves, but with immutable characteristics that have nothing to do with their qualifications, you are pigeonholing yourself because you are going to refuse to consider many qualified candidates.
Yep.
And it's also not fair to the candidate that you ultimately nominate because they will always be viewed as a token.
You know, when you're hiring somebody for a job in any agency, like or some sort of 501c3 or any organization, you cannot pick the person literally based on gender
No kidding.
or color,
But I will tell you something.
race, any of these things.
We had something very similar to
You're
this.
not
When
allowed
Ronald-
to even
when
ask
Ronald
them how
Reagan-
old they
when
are.
Ronald Reagan was filling a vacancy, he ultimately nominated Sandra Day O'Connor as the first woman on the Supreme Court. Everybody knew he wanted to nominate a woman. But he was smart enough to A, consider other candidates, and B, most importantly, is
Not
keep
say
his
it.
mouth shut.
Yep.
Biden did. He didn't even get the resignation letter on his desk before he said, "I'm nominating a black woman. And it's not going to be Kamala Harris, but I'm going to be nominating a black woman, and that's our only qualification."
Our show is coming to the end. It's 1 minute to go. I want to ask you a question. Last quarter, Pfizer, our favorite company, do you know they made $52 or $54 billion?
Just you remember, Heshy, what's good for Pfizer is good for America.
Now, next quarter, there's no way that Omicron is burning out. It didn't turn out to kill 97 billion of us. My question to you is...
These are all the G variant. Remember that.
Now, now they have a new pill. They're going to make like 5 billion pills that will cure the COVID from now on. I mean,
I hear it's based on Viagra, though, which is really a problem.
Wow.
I mean, it's actually true, by the way. It's actually
And the
true.
prices are just going to keep going
It's
up.
a wonder drug.
All I know is I can't afford my gas.
Family show, my friend.
I can't afford my. I can't. Somebody today told me, he says, Heshy, let me explain to you the vaccine. Because I told him, you got to take the vaccine because, that's what they want from us. He said, let me explain to you, Heshy. Let's just say this vaccine is great. Let me explain to you. Go to a restaurant. They give you the most expensive meal, gorgeous steaks, beautiful side dishes, the best chef. But maybe there could be a drop of poison in there. Would you eat it? The answer is no. It's the same thing with the vaccine. Most likely it'll cure you, but most likely...
how big
I
a
love
drop?
you, Ashley, but I think you're wrong. Dude, half the stuff we eat, we know is not healthy for us.
I got you,
totally.
but I'm
And
saying
we eat it because
poison.
of that.
Oh, yeah.
And we eat it because fried food, right? We eat if
Fried food is not poison. Do not talk bad about my fried food.
Exactly. The thing is, if it's not fried, you won't eat it. But the thing is, we
It
know
might
it's
be
not healthy.
vegan, though. We'll find out.
Well, you can have fried broccoli now.
Right. Anyways, everybody, thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Good night.
night,
Wait a minute.
everybody.
Christopher, thank you for joining
Thank
our
you
show.
for having
Thank you
me,
for everybody
everybody.
listening
It's
to
been a
us.
joy.
I'm happy for all of you and Soya. I
Happy
love you.
birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Thank you.
Play the
Good night,
music, my
everybody.
producer.